Good morning, traders. I want to start by apologizing for missing the midweek video last week, as I came down with the flu quite bad. But we're back now, ready to smash the markets. It's 15th of October and about 10:30 here in the UK. So if we get started on Aussie dollar, as always, as you can see, it's a monthly time frame, and we've been in a downtrend um, for pretty much all of 2018. Yeah, this current monthly candle seems to be retracing quite a lot. We could be coming back up to see this monthly resistance, um, or again just form a long wick to the downside. However, we've still got half a month to go, so wouldn't like to speculate. Step it down to the weekly time frame, it does look like we do want to test that blue exponential moving average. And if we get a Fibonacci tool on here, then just put some levels in there. Yeah, then as you can see, that does line up very nicely with the 50% retracement level, and as you can see, we are just approaching the 38.2%. So while we are in a downtrend, I do expect to see at least this 7180 level being met, with the potential to see that monthly resistance. I'm not overly confident that that will be met, but we'll just have to wait and see how price responds. We have had quite a steady ride down up to this point. The last low at weekly support, it wasn't massively lower than the prior low here. However, it was a definite low nonetheless. So as price comes back up, we wait to see where the potential lower high will be. Taking it down to the daily time frame, you can see lower lows, lower highs here, formed this lower low, bottomed out, and then last week we were brought just back above the exponential moving average. Following this, we saw a spinning top candle, which would suggest indecision, and you may have expected price to fall back down towards this weekly support following that. However, we were just caught on the exponential moving average here as support, and price seems to be responding to that very well. Taken from the weekly time frame, we did say that we're looking for that retracement to 7180, which is just here, and we do, if you remember, we do have that 7166 level, which price did seem to respond to very nicely in the past. So that will be my initial upside target, before looking at a retest of this downtrend. Now this will be the fourth occasion that price will be testing this downtrend. So could we potentially be seeing a break and a move to the upside, possibly to test this 200 EMA? I don't know. Have to wait and see. Onto the 8-hour time frame, you can see that we had this low down here at the weekly support, where price had bottomed out, and that took us above the moving averages, which then crossed over. However, price up to now has failed at this 0.7130 region. As you can see, price was struggling here. However, after failing to break the exponential moving average support, forming a spinning top candle, we've now formed, or we appear to be forming a morning star formation here on the 8 hour. As you can see, we do have an upside Fibonacci which lines this low up very nicely with the 38.2% retracement and the 27.2 extension target does line up pretty much bang on with that 7166. So that is definitely an initial target before looking higher. Much the same story with the 4 hour, but we do have that H4 closure. This is the close that we've just seen at 10 a.m. Which would, for me, confirm the bullish move. Could have taken it here, however, it wasn't a confirmation. We didn't have the break back above the moving averages, and again, we didn't have the break above this level here. Price is now obviously broken both of those, and we are looking bullish. I do expect to see some sort of retracement, potentially back to this level. Price could just quickly come down, spike to this level, even the exponential moving average before rocketing off higher. It's not completely necessary, however, I wouldn't be surprised to see it. With the way the last candlestick closed, we are looking very bullish, so we could just see a straight run to that Fibonacci extension target. We do have employment data coming out on Thursday for this pair, but other than that, we're just looking towards the price of gold to see how Aussie's playing out. Currently, gold is looking very strong on a very nice bullish run compared to a weakening dollar. So this could be the reversal on Aussie. However, on a longer time frame, we are still bearish, so we do have to bear that in mind. So take a look at USD JPY, and after this bullish leg that we've been seeing, this is on the monthly time frame. Obviously, we're above the moving averages here. Last month closed very bullish, and this month we've pretty much already destroyed as much as 80% of the progress that was made during the month of September. We do look like price wants to come back down to retest these moving averages here and potentially the 110.50 support. So here you can get a better perspective of that bearish move, which pretty much all happened last week. After reaching the 113.75 weekly resistance, price absolutely melted, closes a strong bearish candle just below the exponential moving average. We did pull back slightly, but as I said, we did close still below that moving average, and straight away this week bearish pressure has continued downside. So I'm looking at price coming down to this 111, or probably 111.30 region, potentially a bit lower to around the 111 flat, and then after that we'll have to assess price action to see the potential to head down towards that monthly support level. Bearing in mind that we are in an overall uptrend here, as you can see highlighted here, we've got the higher highs and higher lows. But if we do try and get a fib on, then you can see we are just approaching that 61.8 level, and the 111 region does line up very nicely within that refined zone. if we were to head towards the monthly support at 110.50, it could mean that we are heading lower. I specified earlier in my analysis that if we saw a test of this monthly support level, then we would be seeing price head lower. Until that happens and we wait for the moving average to cross over, I wouldn't like to speculate downside targets. But as I say, after all, we are in an overall uptrend. But I mean, we could call this high here a double top with this over here. So if that's the case, we could be seeing price head down towards this 108 level. However, that's longer term, and we'll just assess what price is doing immediately for now. Take a look at the daily time frame. Oh, here's the fib that you saw me just draw. We did have that 114 level, and you can see how price responded to that. We did drew this level on a long time ago, when price was down here somewhere. I was watching price come up to that level, and you can just see how price mounted from there. Initially, I had this 113 as an initial support floor. Price did pull back from there, however, remained below the exponential moving average, failed at a retest, and continued downside. Destroyed the simple moving average, and plummeted even further. We did see a small amount of indecision at the end of last week, forming these two spinning tops, so you may have expected the start of this week the price to head back up, potentially for a retest of this region of the moving averages. However, bearish momentum continues here for the dollar. In that right to that refined zone as specified on the weekly. Now, as you can see, we do have the 200 EMA that's creeping up. Now it's just above that 78.6% level. But as you can see, that kind of further supports my theory that should we break this level to test monthly support, we could definitely be heading lower, as that would invalidate our upside Fibonacci. In terms of fundamentals this week for the dollar, we've got retail sales later today, which may affect price, as well as FOMC meeting minutes on Wednesday. So not too much going on for the dollar this week. We'll also be looking over on Thursday and Friday. We've got the Governor Kuroda speaking for the Bank of Japan. That's twice this week. Something to look out for. Could potentially cause a small amount of volatility. As I say, nothing too major in either country this week. So it could cause some consolidation around this region before pushing higher. So onto the 8-hour time frame, you can see price was trapped within that range, but as we tested that moving average, it just pushed price down slightly lower, and now we have broken that along with the 200 EMA. Price is retracing slightly. We've got just over 3 hours left on this candle for quite some time. We could easily close back above this support level here. However, as you can see, I'm looking down towards this extension target in line with this 111.40 region. Now that closure at 10 AM was incredibly bearish, bearish Maribozu candle, showing that the bears had control for pretty much the whole session, um, as we look down to that 111.40 level to be met. As I've said, potential for some consolidation after meeting these targets, as we saw here. We can see further consolidation as the moving averages flatten and converge, ready for the upside crossover. Not guaranteeing that we will get the upside crossover, however, that's just my bias. That's what I believe we will be seeing here on this pair. If you take a look at USD CAD, now, been very interesting here. Because as you can see, we've had a lot of indecision. We're above the moving averages, acting as support. However, they are largely flat. Not much going on with the moving averages currently. They are ever so slightly bullish. As you can see, the exponential moving average is just on top, just above the simple moving average. We're expecting after the start of this month gapping down, we're expecting price to come down to meet this channel here, and as price attempts the 1.30 monthly resistance, we may still see a rejection to have price fall lower. If we're looking on a weekly time frame, it is a bit choppy right now. We did have that gap lower, which you could take as a lower low. However, with gaps in the market, they are quite difficult to analyze, and I often disregard them. So I'm not sure how much significance I would actually give to this lower low, and I'll be looking more at this, which still seems to be within the range of this prior candle. The price is now back above the exponential moving average within that resistance zone, as we saw the retracement at the end of last week, bring price sitting just above that monthly resistance, which is now turned to support. So as I said, this may be the lower high to this over here. However, we would like to see a break of this maiden support. We are trending up overall, and as you can see, we do have this upside Fibonacci, where the gap down last week was a retracement from the 61.8 and this refined zone right here. Didn't quite meet the 1.2750 weekly support. However, we are currently seeing a little bullish leg from this retracement region. So, I mean, upside scenario, after a retest of this monthly support, we may be seeing price head back towards this region, the upper region of the range, back around 1.3200 before potentially 3250. Downside, should we continue to reject these moving averages and break back below the 1.3 level, then I do anticipate that we will see the 1.2750 weekly support being met. So in with that downside scenario, you can see that we do have a daily downtrend here. We have just seen the fourth point of this downtrend after some after we've just slipped outside of that on the third test. So this was mid last week um, that we saw price rocket up off the moving averages, causing them to cross to the upside, and since we've been retracing back towards this monthly level. So it does look like here on the daily we are looking bullish, um, given the moving averages and this monthly, that should say, support. I expect to see price retest this region here before heading higher as specified. First, I'll be looking at 1.3150 region around here, before 1.3200 and 3250 weekly resistance up here. In terms of downside here, is possible. However, I do prefer the upside bias. We've had one, two, and I mean this is the third time. Like I say, this gap last week has did put some confusion into this market, but this 1.29 daily support level has proven to be quite strong recently. Now with the moving averages back towards the upside, we are looking bullish. We had this bullish run is largely caused by falling oil prices. So after rising, after the decrease in supply that we saw, prices have been rocketing recently. However, last week we did see a massive retracement in oil prices, which caused this rally. Now, $100 a barrel isn't out of the question still. We are sat around $75 for the barrel at the moment. So there may still be room to the upside for oil, which would see this market driven lower. As I said, back down towards this weekly level. So a little bit all over the place. Crude oil inventories on Wednesday for the dollar, for US, and then inflation data on Friday for Canadian dollar. So two things to watch out for Wednesday and Friday could affect this market, but this 1.30 level is the first real region to watch out for. If we break that level, then we are looking back down towards the 1.29 daily support. Now on the 8-hour time frame, you can see that we had this bullish run, two candlesticks there, form this fib, and now we are seeing this retracement price gradually coming back. Bearing in mind we are still, all of this is still within the range of this big bullish candlestick. Now price is struggling slightly on the exponential moving average, the 80 EMA as well as the 200 EMA providing support for price. We've got this upside Fibonacci aligning the 50% retracement very nicely with that 1.3 level, and it could potentially be just a quick spike to that level before pulling back and heading towards our target at 1.3108 before 1.3150 as mentioned on the daily time frame, I believe. Aside from that, we are looking like price does want to fall back upside. As you can see, We've had a lot of green candles, a lot of bullish candles here, small pullbacks, but majority upside moves. As you can see, this is just a gradual retracement. Um, Price is just looking to flatten out before heading higher. Moving averages are converging somewhat, and we may see further consolidation until this simple moving average approaches slightly more ready for the next breakout towards the upside. It is worth noting here that this high formed last week was slightly lower than this high over here. So with that, we could have this as a lower high to this as a lower low to here, and then we would be looking at downside initially, as I say, at 1.2900. However, we'll have to wait and see what price does at this 1.3 level. As I keep mentioning, this level will prove to be very, very crucial for price action. Currently on the H4 we are slowly trending down. We've got lower highs, lower lows, could be forming that final lower low, consolidation, moving averages converged here, looking like they're ready to cross over to the downside. But yeah, as I said, wait and see what happens around this region, because there is a lot of confluence, a lot of support here. Personally, I'm staying away from this market for trades because it's just too choppy. Potential for both downside and upside moves. I'm just going to sit on my hands here, wait to see what happens around this major key level. So we take a look at GBP USD, back to sanity. So you can see that price has now tapped the moving averages and pulled back very nicely. This was last week, which you'll see shortly. Exponential moving average looking like it's going to cross over this month. Depending what kind of closure we get this month, could be looking at back at this 1.3 major support, potentially even lower. If that does happen, then I am looking at 1.250, 1.2500, sorry, monthly support. And with all the uncertainty surrounding Brexit, I wouldn't be surprised to see that. We look on the weekly time frame, then yeah, that uncertainty that I said just a second ago was backed up. I mean, this weekend there failed. There was a meeting over this weekend, and it did cause further uncertainty. There was further doubt posed by the EU member states as to the UK's proposal with regards to Ireland and Northern Ireland, which did cause this massive gap down to meet the moving average support. As you can see, last week after meeting the 1.3250 resistance, pulled back quite sharply to close this spinning top. So we are seeing indecision in this market. We are in this bullish leg. However, as you can see, it seems to be flattening out, and doesn't really want to move past this weekly key level. So as the moving averages are converging, they are flattening. I'm not sure if we will see the crossover or just see the exponential moving average essentially bounce off the simple moving average and then turn to attempt to go downside once more. As you can see, this week's already filled the gap, but with the overall bearish sentiment, I am feeling like we will be seeing a pullback back towards these moving averages. If you take a look on the daily, then as you can see, the rejection from that weekly resistance last week was also a rejection from 200 EMA, formed a lower high for this one over here. Price did the gap down after this bearish engulfing on Friday, sent price all the way to our support level here at 1.3080. But as I've said, price has found support at this level and has kind of taken off from there upside. However, where we are now, it is a decent region to see a pullback from. Potentially, not sure how far we will pull back today. We could, no reason why we can't push all the way to see this 1.3200 daily resistance with the moving averages, moving average crossover to the upside. However, I would like to see a pullback to close below this blue exponential moving average, to then set up the rest of the week nicely for the downside move toward the 1.300 major support level. This low here could be seen as a higher low in this uptrend. Well, essentially it is in this overall uptrend, so it's something to be wary of. But with this lower high formed last week, I am still bearish on this pair. Moving averages are flat, is showing signs of indecision in this market, which isn't really surprising given what's going on fundamentally. And having mentioned fundamentals, this week the average earnings for the pound on Tuesday, inflation data on Wednesday, along with another Brexit meeting on Wednesday. So I think Wednesday will be a very crucial day to watch out for in this market, and could be the catalyst to send this market lower, or at least start to at least initiate the continuation downside. Finally, Bank of England Governor Carney speaking on Friday again has potential to move the market. So onto the 8-hour time frame, we have just seen price push back up above the 1.3139 minor resistance level. As we've approached that blue exponential moving average for a retest, price is pulling back slightly. We do have the potential to head slightly higher towards that 1.3180. However, I am anticipating price pull back from here to close within this region, potentially even below this 1.3139. If we do close below that 1.3139, then it sets price up beautifully for the downside. So I'd be anticipating something like this to head down to 1.3 of major support. 4 hour much the same, although we saw a little bit of indecision early hours of this morning. Bullish momentum continued, now pulling back after meeting the exponential moving average. Moving averages have crossed over to the downside, and if we continue to reject this moving average, then my downside setup is looking quite nice for now. But yeah, it's worth remembering, always worth remembering the alternative setup, the alternative scenario, which has good season upside Fibonacci. This, I mean, targets aren't really lining up with anything that I can see currently. So for me, it's just downside here. Initially back to this 1.3080 region before 1.300 major support.